light of infinite.
Going through a breakup could be one of the most difficult things to endure. A break or a separation in what felt like a divine union. What feels like a heart shattered into a million pieces. But we have to find a way to trust that it's for our own good, and what's truly aligned will arise at the right time. We have to shift our focus from what's lost and lean into the faith of whatever's meant to be will be. We never know what our Creator has in store for us. All of life in various ways, even if we don't fully feel it, is an element of heartbreak, since at all times we are somewhat separate from the Shechinah, the divine presence. How to elevate in exile is a part of the process of Sefirot HaOmer, rectifying each level of the 7 Sefirot of Chesed, moving through Malchut. We learned that the Jews in Egypt were on the 49th level of impurity, a step away from the bottom, the 50th level of impurity, tied to our animalistic soul and selves. As everything has a balance and every potential for bad has the potential for good, we also learned that in these 49 days, Bnei Israel reached the very highest level. The Jews were on the 49th level of holiness, tied to our godly selves and souls, when they received the Torah. One step away from the highest level, the 50th gate level of holiness, which was the revelation at Sinai. We are now in the midst of counting the 49 days of Sefirot HaOmer, from the second night of Pesach until Shavuot. The Omer is also referred to as 7 Shabbatot, and as Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, we do it with Pesach, meaning with an open mouth. We are speaking spirituality into existence, mirroring the journey of Bnei Israel in the desert, who spent these 49 days in spiritual preparation. With each day and week in these 7 weeks, we are tasked with transcending our physical constraints and reaching redemption. Time is a figment of a fractured world, but it's the world we live in, and to remove these layers of klipot, the shells of everything around us that conceal godly light, we need to go through the process of these 7 weeks of counting, of meditation, of moving through 7 Shabbatot, until reaching the 50th day when we receive the Torah anew. Sefirot HaOmer is a journey in refining the 7 emotional attributes in the 10 Sefirot: Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut. The root of any of our own enslavements is the negative side or distorted use of these emotions. The 7 weeks of 7 days counting and moving through these emotions are meant as a time to reflect, to be mindful and try to be in tune with our emotions in a healthy way, and remove any dissonance clouding clarity of love. The distortion of an emotion is when it is not used for ultimate good, and since emotions are multidimensional, each of the 7 attributes are composed of all 7 as such. Day 1, Chesed of Chesed. Day 2, Gevura of Chesed. Day 3, Tiferet of Chesed. Day 4, Netzach of Chesed. Day 5, Hod of Chesed. Day 6, Yesod of Chesed. Day 7, Malchut of Chesed. And this continues on day 1 of week 2, Chesed of Gevura, and so on. To fully refine any one emotion, which would in theory take 7 days, instead we count 7 cycles of 7 days. In this time, we try to transcend our limited view of our physical reality and tap into our spirit that's beyond these constrictions. We say the bracha, the blessing, and speak the cycle into existence with kavanah, with heartfelt intention. The Talmud teaches a person's prayer is not heard on high unless he places his soul in his hands. This is a time to tap into transcendence. The klipot that manifest all around us represent the external, mirroring the negativity or egocentricity that keeps us from connecting to the internal and to our true selves as creations with a divine purpose, which connects us to the divine light. It's the concealment that allows free will. It is the truth that is hidden that we have to fight to remain in, to continue to do good and feel oneness. This negativity or ego is like the shell of a fruit. It does serve to protect the fruit, just as there are times it's useful for our own self-preservation. But it too must be removed to get to the sweetness. Focusing on the shell while ignoring its core will deceive us every time, leaving us holding the peel instead of its precious fruit. We have to remove any layers of ego and negativity to get to the root of our purpose and being, and to get to redemptive state and to receive the Torah. Just last week I was contemplating klipah as a concept and how it played a part in our own lives. I wrote down this poem, and it goes something like this. This shell covering your magic, if you can only see what I see, full of life that can't survive up here. The inside of you under layers of fear, a fishbowl, a figment, one in your mind. Peel, push, feel, rush inward. Your outside is created. Dig deeper to being, a creation, sweet and pure as fruit. But your shell has toughened. Peel it all away until you see it was all a trick you played. Sefirot HaOmer is an opportunity for us to peel away the layers of the shell and move towards our inner essence, connecting to our godly soul instead of limiting our perceptions and actions to our animal soul. Moshe took Bnei Israel from Mitzrayim Egypt out of Meitzar, a narrow constricted place. The definition of exile, spiritual narrowness and constrictions, tzimtzumim, his purpose was fulfilled, and it's now our task to leave our own Mitzrayim, our own constrictions and enslavements, that which holds us back from reaching our potential and ascending to our personal promised lands. To bring on Mashiach, we have to make a redemption that is prati, private, personal, before we could see the final redemption that is klali, public or communal. It's in all of us, which is why the pasuk commanding the counting, it's written yourselves, as is stressed in the Talmud. Each individual should count. It's written, you shall count 7 full weeks for yourselves, from the day following the day of rest, from the day on which you bring the Omer as a wave offering. Count 50 days until the day following the 7th week. Shabbat in Hebrew is etymologically related to the word lishbot, which means to rest. Hashem commands us to rest in order to rise. If we hope to rise above nature and elevate our spirit, we have to rest from trying continuously to control the physical world. If we want to transcend and connect to our soul over our body, we have to pause our pursuits and connect to our purpose. Sefirah is a count and a practice of being mindful of the time around the 7 opportunities, Shabbatot, to do exactly just that, in hopes of doing our part from below, transcending the animalistic aspects of ourselves and connecting to the divine within us, peeling away the layers of klippah so that Hashem answers from above on the 50th day with our key to redemption, the Torah. In these parshiot, the word Shabbat in relation to the festivals is recurring, but as we know, the festivals are less strict than Shabbat. No work may be done on Shabbat, but one is allowed to prepare food on the festivals. The ramifications of not observing Shabbat are far greater than those of not observing a festival. But because the festivals are also referred to as Shabbat, the potential for spiritual connection and unification is beyond measure. Because of the special space these days hold in time, their separation from elements of space and creation itself. You have probably gotten a sense reading these Divrei Torah, how much I love Shabbat, just feeling connected to Hashem, disconnected from the everyday world, meditating on having been created. It's incredible. In this Parsha of Emor, Hashem gives us the commandment of Shabbat and of the festivals, which are also referred to as Shabbat, a holy occasion, a Sabbath to the Lord in all your dwelling places. We are commanded to join in a Shabbat to Hashem. We learn from Hashem that words create worlds. In the beginning, Hashem spoke existence into being. Tefillah, prayer, is our daily method of emulating Hashem, speaking spirituality into reality. But on Shabbat and the festivals, we could focus on just that, without the constant distractions pulling us away from this unification. It's taught that on Shabbat we gain a neshama yetzera, an additional soul, and that this extra neshama allows a person to understand the mysteries of the Torah, so their tefillot, their prayers, and learning are elevated. The interplay between nature, creation, and spirituality is the constant dance of these parshiot, and something we all struggle to find grace in. The Abarbanel illustrates the mindful symbolism of these festivals. At Pesach, we are commanded to bring the Omer of barley, a grain normally used as animal fodder, which represents where we were as people at Pesach. We hadn't yet received the Torah, and we were still trapped in the finite, animalistic ways of Egypt. On Shavuot, we are commanded to bring a mincha chadash, a new crop, symbolizing the new spirit that Hashem infused us by giving the Torah. And the counting of the Omer that we're doing between these two offerings is symbolic of our longing to achieve the clarity and connectedness with the infinite, to not be stuck in nature and a place of finitude. Shabbat and the festivals are moments in time to separate oneself from trying to conquer nature and tap into becoming supernatural. These are the moments the concealment is peeled back, just a sliver, affording us the opportunity to unify with Hashem, who is beyond space, time, and creation itself. But it is by virtue of these 7 cycles of 7 and the ritual of Sefirot HaOmer that we go through the process of refining our own character that brings us closer to the 50th gate of holiness, 50 being the number and notion that surpasses the natural world. The 49 days of working through the constriction of our animal soul to connect to our godly soul and the infinite light that brings the redemptive divine light itself. Shabbat Shalom. And read this in full, where I discuss the secrets of Shabbat and fully jump into the emotional aspects of Sefirot HaOmer on a deeper level at lightofinfinite.com.